Nikki Bernstein here with Hall of Fame trainer Alan Jerkens. Alan, I'd love to first ask you what your first recollection is or was of coming to Gulfstream Park.
Well, I came here and I was too young to have a trainer's license, and a man had me grooming his horses, and I was training them, and someone else had to be on the you know they didn't have a someone else had to be on the program for me. So. And then we had a horse that won named Marine Victory, and that the man claimed, and we were stabled here, and we ran him at Tropical Park, and that was one of the first recollections. And we used to go to the beach. Of course, there wasn't anything on Hallandale Boulevard then, but just one building and one little wooden bridge. It was 1947, I think it was, or something.
And you were how old?
18, I think, 18 or 19.
What was your thought when you first came here? Had you been to a lot of other tracks?
Yeah, well, I was raised in Long Island. We always went to the tracks on Long Island, and it was my first visit to Florida, and naturally being in the warm and going swimming, and it was just great. Yeah.
You mentioned you brought horses to the beach to train. There wasn't as much construction over here on Hollandale, so it was a little easier. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the horses used to go in the water, raid them up and down, and then the people started complaining about the horses being there, and then they didn't do it after that. But the Gulfstream was fun. It was a mile track. They didn't have a grass course yet, and they used to go water skiing on the infield. I remember that. The people in between the races, they used to show it. Yeah,
What was Gulfstream like and Hollandale like at that time?
just like it is now, except there were much fewer people and much fewer buildings. And we used to go to the Circle to have something to eat. And Danny Pearlswick was one of the first guys that I knew. He's the only one who had a car in our bunch, so we used to go with him all the time. Yeah,
And how many horses did you have at that time?
3. I was grooming them, and there was another kid with me, and we were grooming them and staying at the racetrack here in one of the little places. Yeah.
So, what was probably the most memorable moment for you, whether it was a race or just a moment of being here?
Well, of course, winning when Sensitive Prince won the Hutchison and the Fountain of Youth, that was pretty big. And then one time, not too long ago, we won opening day, 3 races opening day, and finished first and second in the stake race. So that was as good as you could do. That would take a day. It's about 10 years ago, or maybe more. Yeah, that was a lot of good days. When you try to think of them all at once, you don't think of them.
It's so evident you obviously still love to train horses. And have you ever thought about retiring, or has that never been a thought?
Well, you can think about retiring, but the racehorse people work every day, and other people are off 100 and some on days a year, and so they know what to do when they have their days off. When you're a racetracker, you just wander around, don't know what to do because you're not used to having days off. But it's fun to be with your friends out here and to train a few horses, and you just keep hoping you get one that can run.
What is it about training that gets you up every morning and that has continued to get you up every morning?
So far, I've always been lucky enough to have a few horses that you make visions, even if they're visions of grandeur. I still get the optimistic feeling about the horses, so you have to have that. You can't train horses if you're pessimistic. You can't do it. You always have to think that you're going to do good with them, and if they don't, you just have to swallow it.
So just to rewind a little bit, how did you first get into the horse race business?
Well, my father had horses, and I always went with him as soon as I was old enough to go, and I started learning how to ride. And then he would always have someone that used to send him race horses that were broke down, and we lived right next to the bay, and we used to take them in the bay and try to get their legs in shape and give them a year and try to bring them back to the races. And he was pretty successful at that, and that's how I got attached to the thoroughbred. Yeah.
And what would you say you like most about Gulfstream Park?
Well, it's nice to be here in the weather, much better than back home, and the horses are nice, and most of the people are nice, and it's you can't do any better than that. That's for sure. Just got to get a good horse. That's all.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Alan. Appreciate it.